Good afternoon. I'm Justin Steinman, Strategic Capital Planning Manager for the City of Chattanooga, and I'm here to talk to you all a little bit about our capital budgeting for outcomes process and how this is different than our operations budgeting process, which you may have heard of the presentation on earlier today. So in general, when we talk about capital improvements, we're talking about the CIP, which is the Capital Improvement Program. And for the most part, that includes projects that have a useful life greater than 1 year and cost at least $50,000. Examples of projects like that can include designing and building a greenway, renovating existing facilities and building new ones, paving our streets, and also major equipment purchases like new fire trucks, garbage trucks, and playgrounds. One thing that's also a little bit different about the capital budget is that we produce a 5-year plan that is the fiscally constrained capital budget. So we start in this case, it'd be FY22, and then the CIP will actually extend through fiscal year 26. And our fiscal year starts July 1 of the prior year. So on July 1st, 2021, we will be starting fiscal year 22. The capital budget process is just like the remainder or the other portions of the budgeting for outcomes process in 3 phases: pre-submission, initial submission, and final submission. And one thing that's a little different for the capital side is that we only require pre-submission for new projects. And those are due on November 16th, 2020. And here is a list of some of the things we ask for, including what's the name of your project, who's it associated with, a brief description of the project and why it's important, the dollars that are being requested in FY22 as well as in the next 4 years for the capital plan, an estimate of the total project cost, because we understand that costs may be in different projects or maybe spread across multiple years, and then a couple of other things related to results area and the type of capital project. For initial submissions, that's when we start to ask for additional information. All the information you submitted at the pre-submittal stage will pre-fill into the initial submission data in the BFO app. And then we'll also ask, how did you come up with your cost estimate? If you're a city department, what's the cost center number for your existing project to make it easier to budget? What is the impact on operations associated with that project? Certainly when we build something new, we know that there's going to be additional costs associated with maintaining it. What's the location of that project, and then a more detailed description. And something very important, if you're an external partner of the city and are putting in a capital request as a BFO, you're required to have a letter of support from a city department related to your request. So, for example, if it needs to be the department that's most closely related to your area of responsibility, so that might be Office of Early Learning or CDOT or Public Works or Police. And if you need some help determining who that should be, feel free to contact us, and we'll provide that contact information at the end of this presentation. And then at the final submission stage, we're really looking at the same information we looked at from initial, but we're also expecting that the feedback that city staff have provided you with questions or requests for additional information will be added at final. So those final offers are due on February 22nd, 2021. And essentially, I just really want to stress the importance of providing us that additional information, because that can make the difference between an offer being approved or delayed or not approved at all. So projects are reviewed and scored by the CIP committee, which consists of representatives from all departments that have capital projects that they construct or use. And the committee works in teams to review and assess projects and to score them. And those scores serve as one input into whether the project is approved or not. Certainly the CIP committee and capital planning staff, which include myself and Destiny Richardson, we work within fiscal parameters that ensure long-term fiscal sustainability. So we work very closely with the budget office in terms of defining funding sources and how much funding is actually going to be available for the capital program in any given year. So just to recap, our capital BFO process looks like pre-submissions for new projects only in November 16th, 2020. Then you'll receive some initial recommendations and feedback from the CIP committee. Initial submissions are due January 11th, 2021, and somewhere in there, and I think the details are in the other presentation, will be some opportunities for pitches made to city staff specific to capital projects and operations. Again, another round of review and recommendations by the CIP committee, and then final submission and review by the CIP committee on February 22nd, 2021. From there, the mayor, city staff, and finance review all the final offers and use that information to put together a draft final capital budget for consideration by the city council. Thank you. And if you have any questions specific to capital, feel free to email us at capital@chattanooga.gov. And we're also here if you have any questions right now. It doesn't look like we have any in the Q&A, so just want to give people a minute to either raise your hand if you have a question or submit one via the Q&A box. And seeing none. Destiny, is there anything you'd like to add? I'm guessing that's
at this time. I think you covered everything. Just I think that's it.
And maybe for those of you who may be attending who didn't attend the initial kickoff meeting, you know, something to keep in mind too is that this is going to be a challenging year for the city in terms of revenue, and the funding sources for capital are largely the same as the funding sources for the operations budget. So certainly when there's a revenue shortfall, it will affect the capital budget as well. So just really think hard about what you submit, and maybe also help indicate what your highest priorities are. And I see Seth is asking, if we weren't funded for a project but submitted one, will it use pre-submission? Yeah, I would say, yeah, I think that's a good question. And I would I would go ahead and resubmit as a new, if you submitted it previously but it wasn't funded, because it's still technically a new project because it's not never entered into our overall project system. I see a question from Mr. Williams. You can just contact us at capital.at.chattanooga.gov as far as submitting one, and we'll be glad to either set up a time to meet and discuss your project or just provide you feedback. Any other questions? Well, all right. Thanks everyone for your time, and we look forward to working with you as we go forward with the BFO process in Capital.